Okay, we're here with Jason from Knowbella. Good to be with you. How are you enjoying the conference so far?
What a conference. This is one of the finest conferences I've seen put together. The venue is off the hook.
Give us a bit of backstory, how maybe even back to the point where you got into blockchain, or how you heard about the whole space and what inspired you to work in it.
You know, I'm one of those early Bitcoin knuckleheads, and just took kind of a dice and threw the dice, and I didn't really understand what was going on at the technological level. I've been in the technology space since the dot-com bomb. So for me, I still didn't get what the magic was, because I just saw it as a peer-to-peer network. And but as I've moved over time, I've recognized that the value proposition for the blockchain is as much about the community and its philosophical bend as much as it is about the underlying technology.
You have an existing organization that you're implementing blockchain into?
Our goal is to be a sustainable, ROI-driven company. So at the end of the day, as I mentioned, blockchain's an enabling technology for us. We looked at the technology to say, how could we bring efficiencies to the pre-existing organization? And that's really been our focus.
Okay, so tell us the genesis of Knowbella. What do you guys do?
Yeah, it's a great question. So there's approximately $4 trillion worth of dormant and orphan intellectual property sitting in institutions and organizations and universities not doing anything, and that can represent 80 to 90% of the portfolio. And so we took kind of an Uber, Airbnb, Lyft approach and said, how could we crowdsource that intellectual property and make value of it? So what we do is we have a scientific crowdsourcing collaboration platform, and we provide this free intellectual property to the global scientific community, particularly the underserved scientists in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. And so we're breaking down these scientific silos by providing this free intellectual property. And this all came to me with the idea of how could all of this unused assets be generating value instead of sitting there doing nothing, much as a room for Airbnb or a seat in Lyft.
How are you going about kind of extracting that and then putting that onto a marketplace and letting the value kind of move around?
Right, well, it's a very personal relationship with the technology transfer officers. You've got to go in and show them the value proposition of them opening up that intellectual property. So most of them don't really understand what open source is. So you have to explain Linux to them and be able to say, hey, look, we're going to take this intellectual property, open it up to the world, and let anybody innovate on top of it and provide those innovations freely back to the community. Some of those TTOs, technology transfer officers, look at you and they're wow, this is alien.
Do you then put that IP onto a marketplace using blockchain? Is that how it evolved?
Yeah, it's actually not in a marketplace. It's actually a crowdsourcing platform. So if you think of GitHub, we're doing GitHub for intellectual property, and we don't manage the intellectual property on the blockchain. Actually, what we do is manage grants. So if a philanthropy like the Gates Foundation or the Wellcome Trust wants to issue a grant, they provide what's called a request for proposals. We then host that on our platform, and the scientists all put in proposals for it, and then the scientific community votes on who gets that grant. And we manage that voting on the blockchain, and at the same time, we manage the grants in a transparent way on the blockchain, so 100% of the funds that come in go to the scientists that need it.
So you guys, how long's Knowbella been up and running for?
Yeah, Knowbella Tech has been running for about a year now, and we're in the process of launching a securities token offering through a Regulation A Tier 2 in the United States. And our goal then is, as scientists collaborate on our platform to push those intellectual properties forward, we award them with Helix tokens that's tied to equity in our company. So as they build the value of the network, they actually build the value of the equity in the company, and thereby generate value of the Helix, because the Helix tokens are tied to the equity in the company.
Wow, that sounds like, in terms of token economics, slightly different to a lot of other projects in the space.
Correct, and we don't believe that exploitation should be occurring. We believe that if a scientist is pushing value into your network and growing your network, he or she should be able to benefit from that. And not only do we tie equity to the Helix tokens, but if we have a liquidity event, they get 25% of the return of that liquidity event. 99% of the blockchain companies that I'm aware of out there, they are exploitational about bringing in the network effect, but they don't award anything back to the crowd that generates the value. And we think that exploitation is not good for our scientific community.
And what stage are you at in the roadmap?
MVP at the end of August, that's our goal. And we already have some intellectual properties coming in from really significant organizations. And we're really crossing our fingers that we're going to have 10,000 scientists in the network by the end of December.
So going into next year, what's in store for Knowbella?
Right, our pathway is unique because we are a securities token offering company. Our goal then is to issue these Helix tokens in December to the scientists, and we would like to have our offering move into an IPO within the next 12 to 24 months, where our investors and our scientists can benefit not only from liquidity of the Helix tokens on an exchange, but also our equity on an exchange. So we're moving as fast as we can to get to an IPO.
So did you guys do an ICO?
Right, our angel round is all high net worth investors. Unfortunately, it's in the United States, it's not very democratic the way we raise money. It excludes the non-high net worth people. That's one of the reasons why we picked the Reg A, because it allows us to bring in non-accredited investors as well as accredited investors, so we can democratize our offering. So we're not doing the typical seed round, A round, B round, C round. We're doing seed round directly to the Regulation A, which then opens it up to accredited and non-accredited investors around the world.
Is there an opportunity for people to invest at this stage if they're non-accredited?
Unfortunately, we struggle to be able to take non-accredited investors. That's an unfortunate thing. That's why we're moving as quickly as we can from the seed round to the Reg A, so that the non-accredited can also benefit from it. The best place to find out about Knowbella Tech, as everybody says, is the web. And Knowbella Tech, it's knowbella.tech, and we strongly recommend that people ensure that they're at Knowbella Tech. We're aware of some squatters on domain names that are going to try to siphon people into fraudulent areas. So we really suggest being careful with knowbella.tech as their point of reference. And what I'd like the audience to understand is think about GitHub plus LinkedIn. That's our business model. And as I mentioned, if we don't have a sustainable business and we're not generating an ROI, then what are we doing? And so our job is to generate an ROI for our shareholders and our investors. And the way we do that is we match make the scientists in our talent pool. So as those scientists crowdsource, they develop a talent pool. And big organizations such as a Boeing or a Johnson & Johnson, they're looking for that STEM talent, science, technology, engineering, and math talent. Because we've aggregated it on our platform, we cut down the time and cost that those folks that are recruiting for those scientists, their time and cost is reduced. And at the same time, those scientists around the world are matched up to organizations that are looking to recruit them. So both sides of the equation are highly incentivized to participate. One is benefiting with lower cost and lower time. The other one is benefiting that their work is publicly seen, just like GitHub. And so as the recruiter looks at their real-time work around this intellectual property, they then have reduced risk to hire them. And of course, I'm highly incentivized as a scientist to work on the platform because I want those organizations to recruit me. That's really what I'd like the audience to understand, is that we are an ROI generating organization.
I wish you all the best, and please, to the audience, please check out Knowbella when you get a chance. And yeah, enjoy the rest of the conference. Pleasure talking to you, Jason.
Thank you so much.
Cool, thanks a lot.